So we're going to be solving this rational equation, and the first thing we're going to do is take a look at the denominators, because if any denominator can be factored, we are going to factor it. I look at this denominator and I notice this could be factored because it is a trinomial in the form of x squared x and a constant, and I know that there's factors of 15 that add to 8. So the factor pair that works here is 5 and 3. So I'm going to rewrite my equation with that denominator in factored form. So it's 2x over x plus 5 minus x squared minus x minus 10. And now I'm going to convert that to factored form. I would have x plus 5 and x plus 3. Those are my two factors. And that's equal to 3 over x plus 3. So from here, I'm going to find my least common denominator. Taking a look at the first denominator, I know it has to have an x plus 5. Taking a look at my second denominator, I already wrote the x plus 5, so I don't need to repeat that. But I do have to add to this the x plus 3, and they're going to be multiplied together. And the final denominator is x plus 3, and I already have that listed, so I don't need to repeat that. So that is my least common denominator. So from here, I'm going to be multiplying this entire equation, left and right-hand side, by the least common denominator, x plus 5 times x plus 3. So when I multiply it with the first term here, you're going to notice that the x plus 5s cancel out. Really, you could think of this as over 1. So there would be an x plus 5 in the numerator and an x plus 5 in the denominator, which divides as 1. So all that's left to multiply is the x plus 3 times the 2x. So let's go ahead and record that. So I had the 2x times the x plus 3. Okay. Next, I need to multiply my least common denominator with this middle part. And you'll notice that the x plus 5s will cancel out, and so will the x plus 3s. So all you're left with is the numerator. So let's record the numerator, which is negative x. Let's take a look at that. So because the numerator has 3 terms and there's a minus sign here, you do need to either put parentheses around it, or you could distribute that negative already. So I'll leave the minus sign here and put parentheses around the x squared minus x minus 10. All right, now I need to distribute this to the final part here. Notice that the x plus 3s will cancel out. So you're left with 3 times x plus 5. So this is equal to 3 times x plus 5. All right, so let's simplify our left-hand side. So distribute the 2x to both terms. 2x times x is 2x squared, and 2x times 3 is 6x. Distribute this negative 1 to all 3 terms. Negative 1 times x squared is negative x squared. Negative 1 times negative x is positive x, and negative 1 times negative 10 is positive 10. And that's equal to, let's distribute the 3 to both terms. 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 5 is 15. Now let's take a look at what we can combine. 2x squared minus x squared is just 1x squared. Okay, let's take a look at the x's. 6x's plus 1 more would be 7x's. And then I have a plus 10. And that's equal to 3x plus 15. Because I have an x to the second power, that tells me I need to move everything to the left-hand side so that the x squared stays positive. So I need to subtract the 3x and subtract the 15 so that nothing is left on the left-hand side. So that's equal to 0, right? And if I subtract those from the right-hand side, I have to subtract those from the left-hand side. So I'm going to write the minus 3x underneath the 7x because that's what I'm going to combine it with, and put the minus 15 underneath the 10. So on the left-hand side, I would have x squared. 7x minus 3x is 4x. And 10 minus 15 is negative 5, and that's equal to 0. So I'm going to record that right here. X squared plus 4x minus 5 is equal to 0. So to solve this, I'm going to see if I could factor it. So this would be trinomials again. What multiplies to negative 5 and adds to 4? So the factor pair that works here would be 5 and negative 1. So my two factors would be x plus 5, x minus 1. And if I apply the zero product property or set each of these equal to 0, I would get x is negative 5 and x is equal to 1. Before I circle those as my final answers, don't forget we do have to check for extraneous solutions. So I'm going to look at my denominators here. We'll start with -5. If I plug in a -5, will that make this equal to 0 because I can't divide by 0? And the answer is already a yes. You cannot plug in a -5 because -5 plus 5 gives you a 0. So that is out. Let's check 1. So obviously plugging in 1 here is fine because it doesn't make it a 0. I could plug in 1 here and I could plug in 1 here and that doesn't make it a 0. And lastly, the x plus 3, I could definitely plug in 1 there and it will not make that 0. So the only solution here is x plus 1.